Hi everyone, and welcome to Balance Physical Therapy's Corporate Wellness Program. If you're watching this video right now, that means that you've already booked your first online ergonomics evaluation with one of our account representatives. So before your first visit, what we'd like to do is have you watch this video and fill out some paperwork. So in that email you should have received this document that has a number of pages that we'd like to have you take a look at before your first visit. So there's some crucial information that we'd like to have you filled out and ready before that first visit, along with some key measurements that we'll want to have on your file that's going to allow us to keep these within your own personal file, but then allow us to make specific recommendations that are based off of your specific measurements to your body. So if you take a look at my setup here, this is what your workstation might look at while you're at home. So the first step that I want you to take is to simply slide away from your desk, and then you're going to adjust your chair, and it's not going to be based off of how you're sitting at your current workstation at home. What I want you to do is adjust your chair so that your knee and hip angle here is at about 90 degrees. So whether you need to go down or up, in my case, I need to go down just a slight bit. And then I want you to sit back all the way in your chair, even if you get some pressure to the back of your legs. Because again, this is just for our measurements that we're getting here, okay? So this should be your posture that you're sitting in, sitting back in your chair, and then knees at 90 degrees. The other thing that you will need for this part is a tape measure. It should be a legit tape measure like this. Not one of the tape measures that you can get from like a Daiso, because those measurements aren't actually exact, okay? So on that second page of the document, we have highlighted here some key measurements that we're gonna go through. So we're gonna take you through each one of those today. So the first one that we're gonna do is look at the measurement from the floor to the back of your knee. So again, sitting in this position, sitting all the way back in your chair, feet are flat on the ground, approximately 90 degrees here. You're gonna take your tape measure, you're gonna drop it down to the side of your foot. You can use your foot to kind of pin it down the side there. And then I'm just gonna put my finger right there to the back of my knee. And then I'm gonna roughly just mark or take a look right there on the tape measure where that number is at. So for me, that's at about 20.5 inches. So I'm gonna write that number down, or in your case, just type it in on that section, okay? So next, we're gonna look at elbow to elbow angle. If you have someone in your house who can take this measurement for you, that's gonna be helpful, but that's gonna be taking a look, again, if we're sitting like this, to take a look at our positioning on our chair. We wanna get the distance between both of your elbows. So if you're standing here like this distance. So if you don't have somebody to help you out to get this measurement for you, what you can do is you can take a couple pieces of tape, and you're just gonna come over to a wall, and then you're gonna stand up nice and tall with your elbows against the wall. And what I'm gonna do is on one side, I'm gonna reach over, I'm gonna put that piece of tape right at the point where my elbow, or the point of my elbow where it meets the wall. And then I'm gonna do the same, get back in that same position that I started in, and then I'm gonna do the same thing on my right side so that I have those pieces of tape marked on the wall. Then what I can do is take my tape measure and about from the midpoint of each one, and I've got about 17.5 inches, okay? As long as we get a approximate measurement that is roughly about that distance, that's gonna be ideal for us. So again, you'll write your measurement in that box. It's box number 4 for the elbow to elbow angle. Okay, next we'll be looking at the floor to seated elbow height, okay? So for this one, you can actually slide forward in your chair just a little bit. But the key with this is that you're gonna be sitting up nice and tall in good posture, and then having your elbows right at your side, and then ideally your elbow angle is about 90 degrees, okay? So whichever side you're more comfortable with measuring, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my tape measure and already have it out to approximately the height that I think I'm gonna be at. And then I'm going to put that right to my side, going down to the ground, and right to that point on my elbow. And then I'm just gonna drop the tape measure to about that position. Again, making sure that your tape measure doesn't fold up on you. and maintaining that normal posture that you would be in sitting up nice and tall. I'm gonna mark that with my finger, a little bit lower here, and then that is, for me, at approximately 31 inches, okay? So that is our floor to seated elbow height. Next, what we're gonna do is looking at the floor to our forearm height. So same exact position, tape measure down to the side, but now I'm going up to my forearm or about at the wrist, okay? Again, adjust your posture again to sit up nice and tall, elbows at your side, elbows at about 90 degrees. Mark it there. I'm just gonna slide my hand forward so I have it to that spot. And I'm looking at about 30.5 degrees, which is about where we should be, is within about an inch of that seated elbow height, okay? And next, we'll be looking at the seat to your forearm height. So again, that same starting position, but now we're going from the bottom of your seat or the cushion that you're actually sitting on to that forearm position. So I'm gonna, again, adjust my position, elbows at about 90 degrees, forearm is relatively flat, and then I'm gonna slide that down to the position that I can feel on my wrist, mark it with my finger, and then take a look. And I've got about 10 inches for myself. Okay, next we're gonna be taking some measurements in standing. This is gonna be especially helpful if you're using a standing desk at home. So you're gonna stand up, similar to that position that we got when we were in seated, where we're just sitting up nice and tall, elbows are at our side. But now we're gonna be measuring from the floor up to that point on our elbow. So I'm gonna already get the tape measure out to approximate area where I think I'm gonna be. Again, push my toe on that tape measure end just to keep it pinned in position. Get back in my ideal posture position, and then drop this tape measure down to that point on my elbow. Feel for that position on the tape measure, and then I'm gonna take a look. And for me, I've got about 47 3/4 inches. So that is for our floor to standing elbow height. And then next we'll look at floor to standing eye height. So same position. What is actually helpful is to put the tape measure on the inside of your foot, so that because we're gonna go right up to your eye level. So pin that tape measure on the inside of your foot, and then you're gonna just raise that tape measure up to about where your eyes are level. Again, don't forget, check your posture, shoulders back, standing up nice and tall. I'm gonna feel ahead to where I'm at about my eye length, and then just go to that spot on the tape measure. And for me, that is about 72 inches. And again, that is for our standing eye height, from floor to standing eye height. And next, we're gonna be looking at measurement from the floor to your seated eye height. So similar to how we did with our measurement from the floor to standing eye height, you can bring this down. It's a little bit easier since you're in sitting, but if you want to pin it to the inside of your foot, that's just perfectly fine. If not, you can just hold it in front of you and use your other hand to hold it in position. I'm going to personally use my foot because I like that better. I'm going to check my posture. Elbows are at my side, shoulders are down, neck is up, I'm sitting up nice and tall. And then I'm going to raise this up, and I'm gonna go to, again, I'm gonna feel for where my eye level is here, and then I'm just gonna come out straight across into that tape measure and look at my measurement, and I've got about 53.5 inches. Again, that is for our floor to seated eye height. And the last measurement that we'll be doing today is the floor to your first line of type on your monitor. So this is gonna be different for everyone because of how your setup is at home. You might have a legit desk with monitors set up. It might be 1 or 2 monitors. Or you might be like me here and working off of a Surface. So whatever it is that you're using, you're gonna go based off of what your first line of type is. And that's if you were to open up a Word document, something like that, and where that first line is, that's where you want to go based off of, not necessarily just the top of your monitor, okay? So again, I'm gonna get in that comfortable position, sit back in my chair, having my shoulders back, and then I'm gonna go, and again, in my case, it's because I'm working from Surface, I know that if I go to my first line of type, and you can even see it, that my arm is at a downward angle here. So I'm gonna use my tape measure to help me out. So I'm gonna go from that first line of type, and then I'm gonna have that go straight out towards my chest. Now I can angle it so that I know that I'm at more of a straight across rather than being angled up too high or even too low. So once I've got that position, I can feel for where it is on my chest. Then I'm gonna bring that back to me, and now I can sit forward in my chair. So then keeping that mark on where it is on my chest, might be a little bit higher for you, might be a little bit lower as well, wherever it is. Then you're gonna shoot your tape measure down to the ground so that it is resting. Bring up the tape measure high enough so then, in this case, I can just have my hand straight across. And then I'm gonna note that point on the tape measure, and for me, that's about 38.5 inches. So depending on what your workstation setup is, that number is gonna be very different from person to person. So do your best to make the adjustment how you need. Thank you so much for taking the time to gather this valuable information for us. We are excited to get you on your way to addressing your ergonomics needs and any concerns you might have regarding health and wellness. Please check us out online at balancept.com or on Instagram or Facebook at balanceptmove for more information.